one of the most important negative episodes that takes place in Jewish history occurs in this week's Parashat, the Egel Zahav, the golden calf. And because of that, something occurs that affords us an opportunity to be able to discuss an important concept that really has a lot to do with all of Jewish history and personal life and all the big question marks of history and of our own personal lives. And it comes in this week's Parsha. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu has determined that he is going to destroy Klal Yisrael because of the involvement, or at least the lack of stopping the Egel Zahav, the golden calf, so Moshe Rabbeinu goes up and he pleads before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before Hashem, and says, please don't wipe them away. If you do, then please, erase me from your book, the ultimate Mesiras Nefesh, as we spoke about last week. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will erase those who sinned. I'll determine who's in my book and who's not in my book. And, and Moshe says, well, you can't begin a nation from me, because if a nation that has the schuyot of three avos, like a chair that cannot stand because of three legs, certainly a chair built with one leg, based upon me alone, is not going to have the merit to survive sins in the future either. Anyhow, this interchange takes place between HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu, and finally Moshe, realizing it's an ace ratzon, he gets his wish, he gets his request that Hashem does not destroy Klal Yisrael, only the perpetrators, and he realizes it's a tremendous ace ratzon, a very special time to ask for things. So Moshe Rabbeinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, show me your covet, show me your glory, show me your master plan for creation. As the Gemara points out, that Moshe was really asking the classic age-old question of Tzaddik v'Ralo, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? Right? We have no problem with bad things to bad people and good things to good people, but the other way around, it's difficult, and that's really what the underlying basis of Moshe's question actually was. And Hashem answers back, V'yomer ani avir kol tuvi al panecha, I'm going to pass my goodness before you. V'karasi b'shem Hashem lefanecha, right? And I will be called by the name of Hashem before you. And then the HaKadosh Baruch Hu adds the words, V'chanoisi es asher achon, I will show favor to those to whom I will show favor. V'rachamti es asher achem, and I'll have mercy on those to whom I will show mercy in the end. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu was basically answering Moshe Rabbeinu by saying, forget it. It's not gonna work out. You want to know my logic, my reasoning, the divine reason for why things happen this way as opposed to that way. So the world ends up seeming like a benevolent place, and everything is just the way it's supposed to be, according to what we imagine. The good should prosper, and evil should be destroyed, just like it says in Parashas B'Chukosai and Parashas Kisava, which seems to be the way of the world. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes back and he throws a monkey wrench in the entire thing and says, well, quite frankly, it's not going to be understandable all the time to you. There's times I'll show mercy to those whom everybody agrees deserve mercy, and I'll show favor to people who really deserve favor. Obviously, that happens a lot in history. But there'll be times when it'll be just the opposite, when I will show mercy to those whom I decide should get mercy, and you have no idea what's going on. And in Shar Gilgulim, we can understand why, because mercy and favor or punishment and all these things spread over not just the course of a single lifetime, but even over the course of many Gilgulim, which we have no prior privy information to that type of a thing. The Arizal did and shared some of that with us in Shar Gilgulim. But there's lots of times when Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence, is going to be a big question mark in our minds. And that's just the way it's going to be, and that's what you have to accept. And the Leshem, discussing this concept, phrases it a little bit differently, but it's the same idea. And the chapter is actually called Hanhagis HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Sod Neira V'Alila. The providence of the Holy One, blessed is He, B'Sod, right? The mystery of Neira V'Alila, right? The awesomeness of literally the word Alila is like a pretext. Alila's dam was a blood libel, for example. That Lila is also could mean cloudy, murky, but basically it means the Hanhaga of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the divine providence that doesn't make sense to us. It's not clear to us. Things are happening in a way that we can't quite fathom, and he talks about over here. And he says the following thing. Hanizker Kikol Hamorot, Hanarot She'avru Aleinu Me'es Yosenu Li'am Adkoi, all the things that have happened to the Jewish people from the time that we first became a nation until now. Hinehu Kol Besibus Oilam Atohu Vayamuchem V'Chakuk Mi'az Es Kol HaMaisa Asher Nasa Ala Aretz Ve'ein Kol Chadash Tachas HaShemesh. All that's happened is based upon this idea of Tohu, of the null and void of the second verse of Maisa Bereshis, that the cease, the basis of creation is not order. We bring order to creation. That's why we make a Seder, Leil Seder, because the Jewish people were taken out of Egypt to bring order to Maisa Bereshis. That's what it means to be Or Lagoyim. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. And so the underpinning of Maisa Bereshis, the base of creation, is not order, but rather it's chaos, null and void, that results in all the evil and destruction that has happened throughout the course of Jewish history. There's nothing new under the sun. He says, Kiheim muchanim olam hashaya lefnei v'nasa kol davar be'ito u'b'zmano, and that everything that it's going to happen historically was built at the beginning of creation, and it has its time, its place to come into history. Api also is man ve'etz asher huchan lo, according to the schedule, the divine schedule for this specific thing to happen to exist. For example, mankind advances and we become more technologically advanced, but things happen historically when they happen because that's the timetable that Hashem has established in Maisa Bereshis. And that's what it says in Koheles, it calls Man Ve'ez L'chol Chefetz Tachas Shemayim. For everything that exists under Shemayim, that there's a time and a place for everything. Koheles Rabbah, Zman haya lo l'adam harishon shekines legan Eden, and the Medrash says on Koheles there was a time for Adam Harishon to enter the Garden of Eden. Zman haya lo sheyatza misham, and there's also a time for him to leave it. Zman haya lo l'noach shekines leteva, there's a time for Noach to enter the ark. Zman haya lo letzeitz, and there's a set time for him to leave the ark. We don't think of these terms. It's just things just happen. They evolve. I got up this morning, I brushed my teeth, I davened, whatever, But everything happens exactly when it happens according to some kind of divine master plan in incredible detail, and certainly the major events of history. So, when did Noah come out of the Teva? Precisely to the moment, right? There's a famous story of the Brisker Rav, who was once Maseder Kedushin for a couple before they had all these fantastic lights that we have outdoor lighting. They used torches or whatever for chuppah under the stars outside, and it happened basically as the shomer gave the tabat, the ring, over to the chassan to put on the kala's finger, as is a tradition for the sake of Keser Kedushin to get married. So Butterfingers slipped, the ring dropped into the grass at night when it was dark. And of course, whenever you drop things in the grass, they never exactly fall where they're supposed to fall or where you think they fell, but rather they jump around. And it's amazing how something like that can fall on the ground in such a small area, and everyone's looking for it, but nobody can find it, even with light torches, the whole thing. And it took about 20 minutes before they finally found the ring. Found it, And of course, while this is going on, the Jewish people who believe in Mazel and Skulot and all these different things, and people can go too far with this type of an idea and take it as a bad omen, that maybe the couple shouldn't get married. They start whispering, it's the Shemaim, maybe should call off the Kedushin, the whole thing, despite the cost. And the Brisker Rav, being the Chacham that he was and seeing things the way a Chacham should see things, realized what was actually going on. And he, to quiet the concerns and the fears and put things in the proper place, he announced, he said, we write on the invitation that so-and-so is marrying so-and-so at a specific time. Of course, today doesn't even apply because the time is basically just a general reference point. So you should know more or less which day people are getting married, because people rarely stick to unless they're getting married right before Shkia. But, we write it down that 7:30 on Beis Shvat, so-and-so people are getting married, and they plan to do it, and they might even be on time. And Shemaim says that's fine, but as far as we're concerned, you're supposed to be getting married at 7:30. According to your plans, we have you down in Shemaim at 7:52 and 35 seconds and whatever comes after that.